All right, we're gonna call this September meeting to order. I'd like to do it with a prayer. You wanna do the prayer?
I will. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening, Lord, just to ask you to be with us, Lord. We thank you for the many blessings that you bestowed upon us, dear Heavenly Father. Lord, we just pray that you'll be with us and guide us through the decisions that we make tonight for the county, Lord. Lord, we thank you for our county and our state and our country, dear Heavenly Father. Lord, we just pray that you'll be with us throughout the rest of this week meeting and the rest of this week. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I need approval of the agenda. We need any changes to the agenda, Doug? It looks all right. All right, I need a motion to approve the agenda.
I approve.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the minutes for the last meeting, everything looks in order, we need to approve it. Need a motion?
I make a motion.
Need a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm not gonna vote, I wasn't here.
All right. Financial reports? Need a motion if everything looks in order.
I make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right. You wanna do any of the business first, or you wanna go ahead to the hit appearance?
I mean, you can, whichever you feel like doing.
All right, let's just
There's not
go,
much business.
all right, let's go ahead and hit the appearance. The tax assessor board, I know that's what everybody's here for. Y'all wanna say anything? Cody?
Who's gonna do it?
Cody's gonna do the,
Everybody know what we're gonna do.
all right.
So what I've put before you guys is the consent order that was issued to the state, or collection order that was issued to the state in 2022. This was given to you guys back in 2022 whenever it was issued. Basically, if you refer to,
Cody, is your microphone working?
can you hear me? So if you turn to page 4 on that, that's kind of the order in which the revenue commissioner sent down. So in order for Miller County to collect taxes, and this has nothing to do with the actual tax commissioner, this is just basically for the Board of Assessors, saying that they're in compliance with the sales ratio study that the Department of Audit does every single year. So what they're saying on that page is if we don't get in compliance within 2024, we can no longer collect taxes. So what the Board of Assessors has done, and you'll see that on your next few pages, in 2021 and 2023, we've done sales ratio studies to increase values. We did increase the values to get closer to that 40% that we needed to be at. If you look on the 5th page, or the 6th page, I'm sorry, the 7th page, you'll see when we run the studies for 21 through 23, we are sitting at 40% assessment ratio, which is in compliance with the state guidelines. So on 23, we were in compliance. If you flip to page 9, you will see this year when we done a sales ratio study, we actually fell to a 39.3, which means we fell below the 40% ratio, which is still acceptable with the state of Georgia. And if you flip to page 11, you see that we, from 24 to current date, which is looking at sales for 2024 only, we have fallen to a 39.3, which means that we're still within the acceptable range, but it shows that houses are selling for higher than what we have on assessable. And the reason I skipped so many pages, in between there is the list of all the houses that are selling and the values that they're selling for, plus what we have on assessable. So to answer a few of the questions, I started here in 2015. The county has not had a county reval done since 1999. When we got here in 2015, we started on a complete reval, which hit in 2016. Another one was scheduled to hit in 2019. We did not do one because of COVID. In 2019, our sales ratio was at 40.56, which is still acceptable by the state of Georgia. So in 2022, we did do another reval, which put us at the consent order that y'all have in front of you at a 34.9. In 23, the Board of Assessors updated values and went to a 38.75, which still is in compliance with state law. 2024, before we done any value changes, we looked at 23 values versus 23 values versus 24 sales. If we wouldn't have done a value increase, the sales ratio dropped to a 24.38. So with us having to do a value increase, once we did the value increase, it put us at a 38.40. And that's what went out on the notices. That was issued a couple weeks ago. So that put us back in compliance with the 2024 and also put us in compliance with the consent order that was issued in Miller County in 2023. So to address the actual statement that went out, yes, values increased, but on the actual notices box C, where it said estimated taxes, that information is incorrect because that's using the mills rates for 2023, which are high, and the county has not set the new mill rates for 2024 yet. So the millage rate that the county sets is, by state statute, they have to lower the mill rate. So if I raise values, the county commission is charged with lowering or rolling back the millage rate is what the state refers to it as. So if the entire county digest is up 40%, they have to lower their mill rate 40%, or show just cause why they need to go above that 40%. So if they go 40.1% above that, they got to show where that extra 1% is going. They can't just say, okay, we're getting all this extra money, let's spend it. They have to justify that. So I know they were inundated with phone calls, we were, but according to state statute, it says I must use the most applicable mill rate possible. That is last year's mill rate. I will sit here and say that the mill rate on that form is absolutely incorrect. It's based upon last year's numbers, but it's also based on a lower assessment than what it was last year. So what we did in my office was we took a regular $100,000 house, increased it by 20%, decreased the mill rate by 20%, and the tax bill was only $20 difference. What you would pay in 23 versus 22. Or 24, I'm sorry.
Cody, most of us got homestead exemption last year. Average out around $600, correct?
So that is actually the governor's tax grant credit that he did not issue this year.
Right.
So we're kind of a double-edged, you got a value increase, we're lowering the mill rate, but you don't get that governor's grant this year, which.
I think people need to be made aware of that they can get ready for that this year.
So that, Jennifer, correct me if I'm wrong, that was anywhere from about $500 to $700 depending on value.
Depending on the value, that's correct. Anywhere from $400 to $700 or better. It shows on everybody's bill actually what credit amount they got.
So in your notice, it doesn't have that credit on there at all. So if you're looking at actually what you wrote the check for last year, that's anywhere from $400 to $700 cheaper than what's on that notice, even with the higher mill rates. So we kind of got two things playing against us: is the governor's credit that he gave last year, that he's not giving again this year, plus the values are up showing that the mill rate, if I could have got the mill rate numbers and put it on the assessment notices, everyone would see that it's close to what they paid last year without the governor's discount. If that makes sense.
Now, Corey, if I wanna go buy a house, just say one side of my house come up for sale, I'm willing to pay an outrageous price for it. Is it fair for it to affect everyone else because I paid a lot more than what that house was worth just because I wanted it?
It drives the market. You can see on this sheet here, if you go down the columns, and I have this available to anybody in the audience. I just didn't know how many copies you had.
I do.
There, right beside Austin, there's a sign-in sheet. If you'll put your email address on that, I'll be more than glad to email it to you after the meeting. So if you look here, you'll see sales date, sales price, and then assessed value. And you can see the difference. So on,
What page on 8?
so if you look at page 6, it sold for $11,000. We have it valued at $6,000. That's the first line. If you skip down a couple lines, it sold for $144,000 or $145,000. We have it appraised at $44,000. So it just kind of shows you how high they're selling above the market value or above assessment that they're selling.
Well, I'll put mine up for sale tonight if you'll pay me that.
And I think that's how most of us feel. Honestly, to agree with you, Alan.
Well, my personal resident, I bought it in 2015 for $125,000. This year it's appraised at $266,000. That's just how bad, how far the markets went. We've got one property sitting on the market. I'm curious to see what it does. We have it assessed for $49,000. They're wanting $109,000 for it. I'm curious if it sells for that. House on First Street just sold. We have it assessed at $136,000. It just sold for $255,000.
Are these out of towners?
Some are out of town.
Exactly.
Some are out of town, but some of them are in town.
So the numbers that are on that report, those are actually sold prices, not listed prices?
No, these are actually sold and deed transfers. Right. So we don't go off of any pre-listings, any real estate. We go off of actual transactions that take place in town.
I noticed,
The point is,
properties that have just land on it did not increase as much as property with land and a house, no matter how. And I figured it must be the house
It is.
that brought it up.
It's the residential improvement. And now it depends on if the land is under conservation use or not. If it's under conservation use, that value is not going to change because it's locked in.
Yeah, it's on conservation.
Right, so that value-
That's what every one that I got that had a house on it, regardless of how old that house was, it shot up.
So what happened is we had everything in the county valued at starting cost to build the property at $50 a square foot to build it. We know today you can't build a house for $50 a square foot. So we upped it to $80 a square foot as a county-wide adjustment. And then that's what's brought the values up in line to where they need to be. Because if you look at, you don't have the report, but if you look at today versus just this year alone, we're sitting at a 40% ratio, which means we have them assessed within range of what they're actually selling for us.
Cody, what kind of effect is this having on the homeowners? The CUBA and the gate card, what kind of effect is that having on us homeowners?
Gate card has absolutely no effect on property value,
It don't pay no sales tax.
but it doesn't have any effect on property assessments. The conservation use does have an impact on it because that's an exemption that is given by the state. So you pay less per acre on conservation use property than if it was out of the conservation use. For example, a conservation use property may be assessed at $750 an acre with conservation use. Without conservation use, it may be assessed at $2,500 an acre, and you'll pay tax on $2,500. So with conservation use, you're saving about 70% of the land value that you would normally pay in taxes.
No, the gate card don't have an effect on the property value, but it does have an effect on what we take in. As a county operating budget, it has a big effect on this.
Correct, your sales tax that you get. But that has nothing to do with.
Right, I know
assessments or
that.
property taxes.
So are we gonna vote to lower the rate?
Correct, so the school board has already issued a statement, the city has issued a statement, and the county has issued a statement that they are lowering the mill rates. And they can attest to that.
we hadn't had a budget meeting yet, so I'm not even gonna say what we're gonna do, but I feel certain that we will lower it. But so we have to wait on the city and the county, the city and the school board before we can do whatever we're gonna do, so.
And we have to have all our figures together on what we're gonna do for a budget and what kind of money is sitting on the tax digest.
I mean, but y'all can imagine the shock to all of us when we opened our letter.
Well, if you look at this, but if you look at this right here, I think this is getting it fair. So there's one house right here, and I ain't got my glasses, so y'all bear with me. We had it valued at $125,000 and it just sold for $340,000. So well, I'm not gonna say, but, it's on that sheet of paper.
Like John Doe.
Well, there are people that live in, they're living in the city. They're living in the county.
Out of Atlanta wanting to come to the country and buy, I get a call every day wanting to buy my stuff. And I'm like, no, they don't make more land, nothing is for sale.
Right.
Sorry, hang on. So you see those people.
But they still, it don't matter if they live in Canada, they gotta pay taxes.
California to
Yeah.
Texas to here
Yeah,
to.
but they still gotta pay taxes regardless if they live in the Soviet Union, they gotta pay taxes here, so.
But your homes are not going anywhere unless there's a fire or a storm or something like that. Homes are gonna be there, according to Mr. Jim Davis, whenever I went to one of his classes in Atlanta. It's gonna be there, and that's what's gonna hit you.
But you still make a good point, if I can speak. People are moving in here from other parts of the country, and they're coming here with money, and they realize they can buy land cheap. And I'm on board with assessors, okay? And then they call their buddies, and it's starting to kind of hit up like they did North Georgia and Central Georgia and Florida. You got them in Texas, and I know folks in this county are paying for houses too, more, but you got them in Texas, you got them in Arizona, you got them in Florida, you got them in Atlanta, and they're starting to ease in here.
I will say that we do see a lot of transactions out of state, Florida, surrounding states around us. But we do see that they are living and moving in here, that it's not like they're buying off of rental properties or investment purposes. They're actually signing up for homestead and living in, if they're working in the area, they may be working remote, but they are owner occupying the majority of these houses. So it's not like that they're selling for investment purposes, rental units or something like that. I know that doesn't change anything. Sir?
How many houses are you talking about? It's been sold for a lot of money.
So between 21 and 23, 47 houses sold for over 40% assessment value, which means from 23 to 24, 24 houses sold. From 20 to date, we're looking at 24 houses sold this year as well. And these are actual sales that title changed hands. Now, we get a lot more transfers of estates and that kind of thing that doesn't impact this. But these are true fair market sales where there's no kin, no relation or anything like that, because we try to kick anything we can out. And then, of course, we're audited every single year. That's the reason we got the collection order with the stipulations that we must correct it by 2024. And the reason I printed the number of years to show the commissioners that we were low and then we were doing our work we needed to do to get it where it is now to be at compliance with the state.
Because that number we always look at, that low number, what, 38,
The lowest number is 36.
36?
36 to 44.
Okay, and what I'm telling all those years, we viewed the property was easing up. And we tried to hold the values, because we thought the property was going to ease up and level down and come back out. That was the prediction, okay? And that's when we got that consent order to get it right. And we was hoping that thing would ease back down, because ease back down, that brings our number up, gets us in compliance, but it didn't happen. Property's still easing up in the county.
So y'all are looking, your target is what, as far as that number? So it's 36, what'd you say, between 36 and?
40 is the prime number.
Okay, 40 is the number.
Right.
You got
We have
some folks in the line of Georgia, but in that part of the country, that's 70s and 80s and 90s. I mean, it's.
So
I would definitely sell my house if I lived up there.
So to be compliant, you have to be between 36 and 44. So you can be over the 40, which means you're over assessing property for what it's actually selling for. If you're below 40, you're selling it lower than what, you're assessing it lower than what it actually is selling for. And that's been our case most of the time, that we're below what they're actually selling for.
And the state watches this just as close as we do, okay?
Oh, we get audited every single year. And the only reason we got the consent order is when we send our digest up to Atlanta to get approved so we can collect taxes, if we fell behind for so many years, which we did for 19 and 22, 19 was COVID, and then 22 was when this was actually issued, they said you can collect taxes, but you must get it fixed. So if we wouldn't have done what we did this year, they would have come in here, they would have charged us, they would have done it, and they would turn around and left it. The state would have sent their appraisal team in here to do it, and then we'd have absolutely no say-so.
Yeah, I think it's still how I feel. I know everybody's talking about appealing things and whatever, but that's not gonna matter. It's gonna end up with what my board does for the village so I see what my end payment's gonna be.
So a few years ago, when I first got here, we tried to send out a insert inside the envelope with the assessment notice. And we had to turn around and remail everything because you're not allowed to have anything in that envelope other than that assessment notice. So we, the Board of Assessors, were going to put an insert in there saying the mill rate and explain the whole mill rate and using last year's estimated taxes. But they would have kicked it out and we would have had to send all new notices again. So the only thing I can tell you is to listen out for the public hearings when they start setting the mill rates. Listen to the school board, the city, and the county. They have to hold public hearings when the mill rates are set. Once the mill rates are set, we will update our tax estimator tool on QPublic, and then you can use that to determine what your property value will be assessed for. Now,
You can also see those house sales on QPublic if you want to go in and look. It's
Yeah,
all
yeah,
there.
yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
but I can't update QPublic's tax estimator until I get the new millage.
Cody, one more thing, just talking. We do the houses, we do the farmland, we do the commercial land every year, so the houses are what move, farmland kind of sitting there, but I mean, any of that can move and trigger stuff that's out of our control, People are buying.
Well, we don't see near as many transactions on agricultural or commercial or industrial properties that we do on residential. And your residential is anything less than 25 acres with a house. We see that change hands and move quicker than we do anything else.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is that folks out of town realizing there's cheap property here, you gotta watch that too, because they can start rolling in here with big bucks.
Yeah.
And
The
moving
man from China
farmland.
bought a house for $35,000 and sold it for $135,000.
That's what I'm
From
saying.
China.
And we have no control over that. All we can do is do the sales ratios and what it is or what it is.
How long is this reevaluated? Is this every year?
Every 3 years. We get audited every single year. Now so we look at properties every 3 years and do adjustments. So 23, which is last year, is actually our countywide reval when we look at all the properties in the county. So between the time we did that and the market hit in 2024, it threw us so far out of line that we had to update values again. Normally, we've never updated values 1 year, turn around, done it the exact next year. We've always done it in increments. But when you're sitting at a 23, when we ended, we were at a 38.71. And that's what was sent to the state. The state approved it. And when we started the whole cycle this year, when I run the beginning of the year report, we were at a 24, and we had to be at a 40. So that showed us how far away from the 100% we were at.
So what we hope is we got our values right now. And folks come in and pay that value, we should be all right next year. If they come in to jack that price up and go again, here you go again. And everybody's got to be aware of that.
Well, it's buyers buying it, but it's also sellers selling it.
Right.
I noticed some houses on the market that were, and then compared the valuation and like the market price was, $70,000-$80,000 less than, the evaluation of the houses are selling. That was kind of,
And that's the reason we drove up square footage price.
yeah, really.
It's, I reckon right now to build a house like $134-$135 a square foot. Talking about that, because you get back to the house, and I mean, it's like a house. He told me, done $90 a square foot. I had no idea how to do that, but
Is that temporary?
So,
Temporary,
yeah.
So it's for how many years? 2, 3?
I couldn't hear you.
So by that logic, if the housing market takes a downturn, valuation should go down.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. So if the, just say the bottom falls out and houses start selling for 15% less than what they are now, we have to lower values by that. So it's not a balancing act, but it is a leveling, trying to make sure we stay in compliance with state law. If a house sells for $100,000, we should have it assessed for $100,000. We should have it appraised at what it would sell for on the market, or close to what it sells for. And if we see them start selling cheaper than what we have on price for, of course, we've got to lower.
Well, the sales ratio is gonna show that simply running, if you don't see that. You have to keep back the numbers down there.
So our anticipated sales ratio for 2024 is at a 38.4. So if we get in here next year and we start doing all these numbers and we're at a 40, then we know we're good. But if we jump up to a 44 or 46, then we're overvaluing property, we've got to lower. So that's the way that judges. If you're dead on 40, then you're good. Anything above 40, you're overvalued. Anything below 40, you're undervalued. So that's the way, that's your line. 40 is where you want to be at. And the closer we are above and below is better for the county as a whole. And these audits are given out every single year. They come around December. And they're given to the school board, the county, and the city. Any other questions?
Any more questions for Cody? Comments?
If you have any questions afterwards, if you want to call the office, right now you can make it, the lines are being busy. We'll return your call as quick as possible and answer any questions you got.
When's the last date of
Appeal.
appeal?
October
15th?
15th.
Is that right? All right.
But what I ask you to do is on that notice, if you're doing not box C, box B, if you say your house is fairly assessed, then there's no need to appeal. If you disagree with the actual taxes, I remind you that you can't appeal taxes, you can only appeal value. That's what we have, the 100% and the 40% value that we set. And that's located in box B.
Someone like Gene Cood to appraise your house and see if you're in line, and if his is different,
You
it
can.
just happens to be lower.
You can.
That seems fair.
And you also can refer to your insurance documents and compare our replacement cost new versus their replacement cost new. And you can see how close they are. That's a way you can look at it without having to spend to get an appraisal done.
All right. No more comments, we'll move on.
I think we should tell them though about
What?
when we're gonna be working on
Oh,
trying
the-
to get the mill rate.
You
Yeah, I
wanna
think
tell-
we need to tell them that too.
So as soon as we get the school board and the city's meal rates and their kind of budget, then we'll do our budget, and then we'll see what we can do. Last year, what we go down to, 1 point?
1.061,
The school board came down 2 last year,
close to it.
close to 2, and we came down 1 point, whatever it was.
1.061.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna say that we're gonna do that, but hopefully we can come down.
And I can reassure you, we want it to come down too, because
We pay taxes too.
ours is assessed higher too, and, yeah, so,
I got some land too.
yeah.
Where are those millage rates set? Are they hold public meetings for that?
Yeah, we'll hold two public meetings.
What we gotta do is, we gotta see.
No,
how
that'll
many
be the school
appeals.
board to hold their own.
But we have to see how many appeals, and usually that's a 40-day, 45-day process. So we won't get the numbers for at least 45 days unless it's 2%. What's the 2%, Cody?
So if the value's appealed over 2%, then I can't submit a digest until it's under that 2%.
Which means we won't get the numbers even longer. So the longer it goes out, we won't have the numbers. But the quicker we get the numbers, we can start running our budgets and see what those are and then start lowering.
Say that again, Cody. Explain
So
that
it's value in dispute is 2% for the entire county, not just an individual house. It's for the entire county digest.
That's everything on the digest. That's not just a housing roll upset about it. It's everything. 2% is a big number to hit.
Yeah.
You know,
So I'm saying about 45 days.
So-
Right, Cody? We should have the number.
So we'll advertise that when we have meetings, and when were they? I mean, they'll be during the middle of the week probably. We'll probably do one in the middle of the day and one in the evening.
We have one where we'll have two in a day, one in the morning and one in the afternoon, and then the final one will be the, 7 days, has to be 7 days after, and it'll be in the evening.
There you go.
Cody, there's been a lot of appeals so far.
I haven't looked at all of them, some of them's come in by mail, but there's a lot of questions, and a lot of them about actual taxes, not many about property value. Everybody agrees, a lot of people are agreeing with the actual assessment, they're just not agreeing with the actual amount of property tax they have to pay. And once we explain to them what I've explained to y'all this evening, they're understanding, and they hoping and praying that the mill rate and everything goes down, just like everybody.
So I think it would be our hope that your taxes might go up $100 or something, you know what I mean? What we spent last year, I mean, we might spend a little more, but we're not intending to go up a lot.
But still on, we all gonna write that check to government give us now.
Yeah.
Give us all, that is. I think he said $100, we just got. You got it right, I got it right, $700 check plus whatever he goes to.
All right, well, we appreciate all y'all coming, and if y'all got any questions, we'll be around after the meeting, and Cody and Mr. Mike, everybody, we'll be glad to answer it if you think anything. So, all right, we're gonna move on to old business. Fueling center report.
So if you look at it, the school has picked back up, they are back in full force, so, no problem, the fueling station's running normally, but, if you look at it, like I said, the only increase is the school has picked back up. We're still holding about almost 2 semi-loads a month.
All right, the update on the shooting range.
So the girl finally got back to me, her name is Jennifer, and she's taking over for, Walter. So she said that they are looking for a federal aid coordinator, but that it will be federal funds, and that she's updated her program manager and also the director of construction. So, I've had a question from somebody asking me about the county's part of the funds. We won't have to put any money towards it. All we'll have to do is annually they'll have their excavators and bulldozers and,
In-house.
dump trucks, yeah, it'd be in-kind money, so there won't be no county money going towards the construction of the shooting range. And it's gonna be a partnership with DNR.
Some kind of rebuild project?
Yeah, we're gonna add, a
Skeet shooting,
archery.
long
and
range.
Long range, we're actually increasing the yardage of the, what's existing there, it won't be there, we'll actually move it. So it's just gonna be pretty much, they wanna give the schools around here want to do shooting teams.
Yeah.
And there's just nowhere for them to do it, so we kind of gonna partner with the DNR to do it. And it'll be federal dollars.
So this one will be
It'll
taken
be out
down?
there?
Yes.
It'll be.
Well, we have to have a 900-foot radius for the birdshot when they shoot. So to make that work in that same area, we'll have to move old Donaldson Road down a little bit and then take where the shooting range is and go down Donaldsonville a little bit. So it'll be a whole new facility when you see it. And I just don't know, I mean, federal dollars it could take a year, it could take 6 months, it could take 2 months. But that's all I got on that.
What about the governmental systems?
Okay, so I was talking with Miss Jennifer today. They sent us a contract for renewal, and then also right behind it, they sent us a letter saying that they were ceasing operations June of 2025. So what we have to do is we have to go ahead and sign this one. This is the same one we always sign, but this will be the last one because Miss Jennifer's interviewing the other companies to take over in June of 25. So all I need is you just to vote to sign that.
So you just need a motion to sign that new agreement?
That's right.
All right, I need a motion to sign the new agreement, Ms. Jennifer.
Gonna make it.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
I'd like to get back to you.
I'm going back to it. I'm going back to it. Yeah. All right, Cooktown Road paving project.
Yes, so I went ahead and put the bid out on the Georgia procurement website, and we only had one bidder, which was Oxford. So that's who we normally use. but we went ahead and did it, you know, like we were supposed to, and that's the only bid, so you can go over it.
And this is who does all our work anyway, usually, correct?
Aaron, do you know if they're gonna try to have any kind of striping program this year?
We've been looking into that, and so far, they haven't put one out there, but, they were gonna let us know, you know, just as soon as one hit. We missed the last one, we didn't do it.
Target.
This one here, we have to wait and see if we can apply for this, the next one.
What's, Twilight Church Road down there?
But the last one they did, you know, on their own, we didn't have to put any money in it, we didn't have a match for it. And they picked all the roads that they striped on their own. We did get striping, but they kind of regrouped the program where we don't submit roads, they picked them. So I don't know what the next one's gonna be, but we got roads striped, it was just the state picked and chose what roads they wanted to do instead of us doing it.
What about, do you remember how much what the quote was or the estimate was to,
I don't remember right off the top of my head.
so to do the 4.5 miles of asphalt resurfacing, it's gonna be $1,158,795.
That's close. I mean,
I thought it was 1.98
I
or
thought it was like 1.19.
1.198, yeah, something like
Which
that.
is, that comes in cheaper if that's the case.
It's a little cheaper. So, we need a motion to approve this?
Yes, it is coming, we do have the matching money for that.
Right.
So we're ready to go.
And Andy them got a grant too, didn't it? A separate grant?
Yeah, that's part of that, that's part
Oh,
of
that's
that
in, it's in.
money too.
All right, so I need a motion to go ahead with this as soon as Oxford can get their equipment.
But Christine, that's
You
your
just
district.
need to sign that contract. We
Yeah,
need
I
to
make
vote
a
to sign
motion.
the contract.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You're a road man, you won't be good. All right, new business, safety coordinator, Mr. Austin Lambert.
Yeah, so our previous safety coordinator is no longer with us, so we always have to have a safety coordinator on staff. So Austin went and got certified in safety coordinator 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we are beyond actually what we need to be certified in. So I just need to get the resolution. You need to kind of read that resolution that's in there. And then we just need to be able to, you need to vote to be able to sign the.
So you need approval of this?
Yes.
We have to appoint, all right, I have appointed Austin to the position, but I need an approval.
No, that's not, read it.
Which one, where's it at? Where's it at? I can't read that right there.
You need my glasses?
Nikki's gonna have to read it.
I was gonna say, you need my glasses?
Now therefore be it resolved that the position of safety coordinator is established for Miller County. The safety coordinator for Miller County, Georgia will be Austin Lambert, safety coordinator 1, 2, 3, and 4. On this date, resolved, 9th day of September, 2024. I need a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? So moved. All right. Department reports.
I think in your package, you have all the department reports in there, everything but the EMS report, and that will come next month. It will start like that. I don't have any other business in the departments.
All right. Any other business anybody wants to talk about?
Andy, you got anything to?
Ms. Jamie would like to give us some economic development update.
Am I good here? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I just want to give y'all some quick updates. As you know, I'm always available to answer any questions or provide any updates or listen to any ideas you may have. But I wanted to give you a residential update. The apartment Spring Ridge, that's over on the other side of 27. They are at 60% completion. We had a local housing team meeting 2 weeks ago with the developers, and Ms. Faye, I think you're on that team. and remind me, because my memory's a bit fuzzy, but you weren't there a couple weeks ago, so, this won't be a more information again. But they are looking at having the first set of move-ins in January. There's 44 units, there's a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms in those apartments, and there are handicap accessible, including audio and visual impairment. Of those 44 units, they've already had 102 applicants, and it's a rigorous process that takes a couple weeks. There is a background check and a credit check, and then a rental history. So the privately managed apartments will be a really nice place. It's considered workforce housing, and it's incentivized by the Department of Community Affairs and some state tax incentives for the developers. Because the Colquitt team scored so high to land the project here, and we were one of the only communities without this type of workforce housing development that's incentivized again by the state, we were awarded $50,000 to help with some type of community transformation, and that's an arduous planning process that includes some community meetings, and I brought these to hand out to you. We'll be having 2 community engagement meetings to get ideas of how to improve certain services for the city residents. So it's not just limited to the apartment residents, but we're looking to improve transportation, employment, education, and health services to Colquitt residents. So what comes to mind to me is the easiest example is looking at our sidewalk infrastructure and how we might be able to create a more pedestrian-friendly walkability around Colquitt. So $50,000, it's a lot, but it's not going to go very far if we start doing that sidewalk. So the community's invited to those meetings. The first is going to be on September 16th from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. That's a Monday, so we were hoping that some of the downtown merchants that are usually open would be able to attend, or not open on Mondays, would be able to attend on that Monday. And then there's an evening meeting on September 24th from 6:30 to 7:30, and both of those meetings are going to be at the Colquitt State Theater. Snacks are going to be served, and children are welcome. They're going to have some little activities for the kids to be entertained, and it's just going to be an opportunity to collect some ideas from the public. So that's great. We're really excited about that opportunity. The city is also engaged in a process with the Regional Commission to do a housing inventory in the city limits so that we know how much and what kind of inventory we have so that folks can be living here in the city. And then that, of course, is going to enhance our market data to make us more marketable for more amenities. So, yes, sir.
So you said there was 100 people applied for 44. Are they out-of-town people? Are they in-town people? Do you have any idea?
So I only know probably of about 20 folks that I've talked to directly, and those have all been from the area. A handful have been actually seniors that are ready to get rid of their 2-story large home with a yard, and they want to condense and not have to mow the grass anymore or go up and down flights of steps. So of that 102, not everyone's going to be accepted. Right. You do have to meet the requirements of that. There has been some questions in our housing meetings too about, and I forget the correct term right now, it's been a long day, but non-U.S. citizens, some type of refuge, and that's not at all allowed at these apartments. You have to show your citizenship. Matter of fact, everyone that's going to be living in the house has to have a birth certificate, so that's how that's avoided. And any other type of undesirable tenant would be weeded out through that background safety check and the credit check as well. So, it's going to be privately managed, and there's going to be certain protective covenants there. You can't wash a car in the parking lot. All cars have to be pulled in the same way. So there's much more than that, but it's just going to be a really nice community place. And it's back on the tax rolls. So from the 1960s, it's been held by the Board of Education, the city, and the county, so I appreciate y'all being part of this process. It's been a long process for the past 4 years, but we're really excited about some new housing, and it's going to open up, I think, a realm of housing for folks that aren't ready to build or to buy a home yet. Maybe they're just coming back to home, Colquitt, Miller County, from college or something, but they've had that little taste of independence and they don't want to move back in with mom and dad or something. So this is just a start, and so we're looking at building more rooftops for residential homes, and that's a multitude, single-family homes, some dense housing, but this is just a start, and it has taken a while, but luckily we've had a great collaborative project with this, with the developers and the school board, and of course, the city and the county. The Legacy subdivision, it's behind Badcock, it's about 25 acres. They're trying to, they're on the agenda tomorrow night at City Council and the zoning board. They're trying to get a variance for some setbacks to make that a bit more dense. Originally it was 49 homes, and they'd like to include more, but we're waiting from feedback from the regional commission about that for tomorrow night's meeting. But again, we need housing here because people want to live here, and people are moving here from faraway places, and again, there's people that live here that want to consolidate, or maybe they're ready to grow some. Part of the plan too with the Legacy subdivision is to have some housing seminars and credit coaching, just to help empower folks that want to buy a home. There had been some questions previously about the DDA's property holdings, and I wanted to report that the DDA owns 13 properties, and most of those are infill opportunities, so they may not have a structure on them right now, but they are prime areas for some type of development, whether it be, most of them are more commercially suited, but if you're interested in that list, City Council requested that last month when I presented, so I'll be more than happy to get that to Doug so he can get it to you as well if you're interested. I also know that Subway has been a rumor for so long, but it's actually happening again. Things take time to get traction, and we have been able to work through, maneuver the circumstances of COVID when all the supply costs went up 100%. So the bread oven that's usually X number of dollars was doubled. And so the franchise holder has finally been able to see the prices lower, and that interior build out's happening. So we pulled permits 3 weeks ago for that. Equipment's being delivered, and the franchise holder is expecting that Subway will be open to serve our
Where's it gonna
community
be at?
no later than December. That's at 103 North Cuthbert Street.
The old library.
The old library, next to the old NAPA building, right?
Correct, correct.
So there is construction happening there on the interior. One of the DDA's commercial properties that is in need of some rehab at 104 West Main, which is in front of the clock on the north side of the square, is for sale. So I just wanted to mention that. And then any other items related to real estate, I'll be happy to talk to you about them in executive session as a whole or individually to help guide some of your decisions and your leadership roles. I also wanted to mention that the Downtown Merchants Association is a group of all business owners in Colquitt, because the DDA is established by legislative statute, and we're so small that all of the commercial business district is part of the Downtown Merchants Association. So they'll be getting together on the 16th, which is next Monday, from 4 to 5 p.m. at the State Theater. And just as a caveat from that, I wanted to make sure that I addressed recent confusion about the DDA scope of work. It's a regional effort to enhance the quality of life in Miller County. So I actively work within Region 10 and our neighboring communities to ensure that we are doing all that we can to make Colquitt Miller County the best place it can be. As y'all know, it takes time and it takes working through programs and grant opportunities in order to capture those funding mechanisms that allow triggers to happen for incentivizing businesses and just any of those elements that you have to have in order to trigger tax incentives. So I just wanted to make sure that was addressed and understood. And like I said in the beginning, I'm always available to answer questions.
I want to ask a question because I've had people ask me about it, the grocery store. What's going on with that? Do you know anything on that?
So I was on the periphery of recent conversations. That would have been a new build on 6 acres of green space. It costs a lot of money to build things right now. And so previously, and I think we brought this up at the county city workshop, there have been 2 grocers that were very interested in opening here to enhance the grocery store that we already have. So separately enhanced, like we just to provide more alternatives for shoppers, because the leakage data in our market data shows that we're losing at least 30%. Don't quote me on that, 'cause I'll have to go check my market data, but, so we're losing a good bit of money that if we could retain it here, it would go to our school system through SPOS, and it would come to the county and the city through SPOS, right? So it's penny sales tax. So my hope has always been there are 2, and now there's a 3rd infill opportunity within the city limits that you could walk to on a sidewalk for a grocery store. So I'm working some of those relationships that I had established previously to see what it's going to take. Because what I was told 2 years ago is we needed to have more population. So.
What is the population?
In the county?
Yeah.
Right at 6,000. In the city, it's right at 2,000. One of the variables that does not show up in Colquitt, Miller County's market data is that we have about 900, I think 921, again, I'm getting very specific, so don't quote me on that. It's about 900 folks that come into our county every day to work, and then they leave the county border to go home. And I've got some other statistics that I can't ramble off the top of my head, but if you're interested in knowing who lives here, who works here, I've got that number, and if you want to know who is living here but leaves, and opposite of who doesn't live here but works here, I can get you that information too. So, but it's all about building that tax base towards economic enhancement. And then there's some placemaking activities. For instance, the park, there's a really great grant, but it's going to take a couple years to actually implement it if we are awarded. But there's a great grant due next month. And I've been working with the rec board in order to get those priorities in place so that we can start rebuilding and rehabbing what we have. Hopefully that will be part of the attraction of coming to Colquitt, Miller County to live, that we've got a nice green space.
All right. Thank you, James.
Thank y'all.
All right. Any other comments? Anybody else? If not, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.